intensive treatment.
Welcome back, everybody, to Intensive Treatment, your number one spot for everything related to the Arkham universe. And we got a pretty fun episode for you here today. So, a while ago, you might remember we did a whole video talking about trailers in the Arkham games, like all sorts of trailers that were released for each game, Asylum, City, Origins, Night, that kind of deal. And we were live streaming the other night. We were playing Arkham Knight and having fun with the chat and whatnot. And I forget what we were talking about, but I brought up a commercial from the Arkham Origins game, a GameStop commercial, where it's all live action actors. It's all in a hospital, and it's all these thugs admitted, and they all have like broken bones, and they're all hurt in some way. And it ends with some giant muscular man with this head shoved through a car window, like the door's literally hanging off of him. And I was like, man, that could be a really great episode down the line. So we're doing that now. And the funny thing is that I just sent Swifty a bunch of these commercials, just stuff that I could find off of YouTube and whatnot. And so we're just going to talk about them. I don't know if we're going to get through all of them, just because it's they're just kind of whatever commercials for like the most part. But I think it'd be fun to kind of reminisce, that sort of deal. So, were you around for many of the Arkham game commercials? Because I certainly was. Probably not for Asylum, but at least like City afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was around for absolutely Night.
Mhm.
And I was around for a little bit of City, and definitely Origins, but I was not really in the loop with Asylum at all.
No.
Like that was just, yeah. Why would I have been? I didn't have at the time. I didn't have an Xbox yet.
No.
And I didn't really know anything about console games. I had just been playing DS my entire childhood. So I'm just like, oh, Mario, that's all there is. But yes, I would say around when Arkham City came out, I kind of was seeing more of that than I was Asylum because I was actually paying attention. But Origins definitely, I was around for that, and Night. I think you and I both probably have the clearest vivid memories of Night because we were well into our years by that time. So yeah.
We were experienced
in
the world of Arkham, so
yeah. Very true.
Yeah, I just find it funny, like, in retrospect, because like when we were talking about with, the Jimmy Fallon appearance by Sefton Hill, like it was crazy to me that these major networks would even want to promote video games to any extent. And I think the Arkham games has some of, like, as far as video game commercials, like there are some pretty memorable ones. And some absolutely bangers, which we'll get to later. But yeah, most of these I didn't like. I seen a few of them, like for the launch commercials, especially for their respective games, Arkham City, Origins, Night, that kind of deal. A lot of these commercials, though, like I experienced them later on. Like I was pretty YouTube savvy, so I just watch anything that had Arkham related to it. Didn't matter which channel, I was just watching it regardless. And just seeing the commercials pop up for some of these earlier games. And it's funny, especially like the GameStop stuff. Like it's pretty funny to think about. But would you say you have a favorite commercial? Like just off the top of your head?
I would say that the Arkham Origins TV spot, number one, is great. It's one of my favorite Batman Arkham commercials ever. And I remember when it came out, and I don't know, it touched a nerve in my young self. I was like, man, that hits. That's emotional. And I can't wait to experience that emotion in Arkham Origins, and that never happened. But I can always go I can always go back to that trailer and watch it and wonder what could have been. So that one, but out of the ones you sent me, I thought the Arkham City PS3 commercial was great, where the guy is referencing Prometheus, who was actually ended up never being in the freaking games,
No.
and makes himself a Robin costume to find out who's been stealing the pastries in the office and stuff. I thought that was really funny. or or that Arkham City funny commercial where the guy zip lines and hits the house and he goes, "Was that an earthquake?" I thought that was great.
Yeah.
So what about you?
I think for me, the commercial that always sticks out in my head is that Arkham Origins TV spot
That was
where,
great.
yeah, where it, like it's it shows the death of the Waynes from showing it only focuses on Bruce, and then it slowly shows him aging over the years. Like it's
Yeah, so good.
so it's like him at the funeral, him getting beat up by bullies, and then him training to be a ninja and that sort of deal. And then it cuts to the very end with him in the bat suit fighting. I guess that's supposed to be Bane, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm assuming.
I remember too, this commercial in particular got so much attention at the time
Yeah,
from like so many people. Like I remember even Kevin Smith talking about it on his podcast and how he
I did
was,
not know that.
yeah, Kevin Smith was like, "Yeah, did you see that Arkham Origins commercial?" And he was talking about how it brought him to tears, like it was that emotional, like so impactful that it hit him on
Yeah,
an emotional level. And that is crazy to me because,
yeah,
you know, the amount of things you can do with video game commercials. I mean, there's a whole plethora of games, I think, mainly from the 360 area, who had just amazing advertisements. And it's also funny too because Origins, like as far as promotional stuff, is like, I mean, it was there, but it wasn't like on the
yeah.
same level as like Arkham
City.
City was. Yeah. But that commercial in particular will always like stay locked in my head. And, I'll never
Yeah,
forget that.
me neither. It's I still get emotional watching it.
Hmm.
Um, yeah,
Yeah. It's only like 30 seconds, but it's great the entire way through. There's so much effort put into it, so much quality. And now, if only the main game had that same level of quality, but do what you can do, I guess. But yeah,
yeah,
it's great. So yeah, I kind of just wanted to go through some of these, talk about some of the funny ones, some of the just kind of whatever commercials. I think we should start off with the GameStop stuff.
yeah. Let's do that because before we started recording, I had mentioned like this was when GameStop was still super important to video games and gamers. So I think it's a good place to start.
Yeah. So we'll start
Like,
with the yeah.
you want to do the Dem
I've
Bones commercial?
Dead Bones. Yeah, I was gonna go straight to Dead
Yeah,
Bones.
the goat. This is another one that's one of my favorites. Um, so guys, Dem Bones is an Arkham Asylum commercial. It's a GameStop commercial for Arkham Asylum, and throughout it, they're basically talking about, you know, fighting all these skeletons in the Scarecrow map. Uh, and at the end of the trailer, it's only like 30 seconds. You see these skeletons with no heads snapping their fingers to the music. Um, and do they say the words Dem Bones in it? Do they say Dem Bones?
I don't think so. The whole
No.
joke of the commercial is that they're doing like they're doing a kind of a vaudeville like
Right.
barbershop quartet styled number
Yes.
where it's it's basically a parody of uh the head bones connected to the neck bone, that kind of beat.
Right.
But it's just the funny thing about it is just Batman in the background as these skeletons are like snapping their fingers, and you're like, he's just smashing bone, like Batman's just smashing bones to pieces, and
Yeah.
and but yeah, the end part where it's them with their heads gone is funny too. Those GameStop commercials, I remember those GameStop commercials like vividly. Not even just for Batman, but for every game coming out. Just for that announcer. It's just like, yeah,
Yeah.
you can play the Scarecrow challenge map when you pre-order Batman Arkham. Like Man, it's what a time. I remember there was a Mortal Kombat commercial, like a GameStop Mortal Kombat commercial, where it was for MK9, and
Mhm.
it was pre-order to get the classic Scorpion skin or whatever. The commercial had it was like him and Melina fighting. She gives him a teddy bear, and he's like, "Oh, I have a present for you." And then he just takes off his face and burns her to a crisp.
Oh god.
Yeah, what a time. But yeah, these GameStop commercials were great, and I think when we get to the next game, I think the GameStop commercials are like they just get progressively more hilarious as they
Mhm.
continue on. But yeah, that them bones one is just is just great, I think.
Yeah, I thought it was great.
hmm So as far as GameStop, the next one, there's actually two versions of it. It's for uh, pre-ordering the Joker's Carnival DLC because yeah, I
Yes.
it's hard to forget. Well, it's funny because we know those maps mainly from the challenge map pack where it's like
Mhm.
Joker's Carnival, the Iceberg Lounge, and the Bat Cave. But there was a time when each of those maps you had to buy from a specific vendor for
Right.
whenever you pre-order the game. So like
Right.
GameStop had the Joker's Carnival. I think Best Buy had the Bat Cave, and then Walmart had the Iceberg Lounge. So
Yeah.
yeah. But these GameStop commercials are funny where there's one of them, it's Batman beating up the clowns in the carnival, but one of them has like Harley telling you it's like you can only be this certain height and this amount of weight to get into the carnival. And then the next one is Batman voicing over it where he's just like, never visit the carnival on a weekend.
Yeah. It's so great. And it was back in a time where I feel like they actually put effort into these things. Um, Now it's just like, well, it's so scarce with stuff. This stuff doesn't really even exist anymore. These kinds of trailers.
No, no.
But then it was like, oh, let's hire Kevin Conroy and Tara Strong to say some funny lines for our company to buy this game. And I don't know, it's really good marketing for
hmm
one. And two, they're just fun to watch. And they're
Right.
creative. Like I love that. Like never come to the carnival on a weekend. I think that's great.
Yeah. Yeah, I think about nowadays, and it's like you barely see any commercials for video games. I barely see any. I mean, whenever I watch cable, I don't really,
Yeah.
I don't watch it much. But even when I do watch cable, there's barely any ads for video
Right.
games. And even when they do show it off, it's basically just a 30-second version of the launch trailer.
Yeah. There's nothing unique
Yeah,
about it.
there's no personality. There's no like intrigue about it. But um, yeah, I think it's such a shame.
Yeah, it really is. Because we're missing out. We could have more GameStop pre-order commercials and people talk about carnivals on weekends.
Yeah,
And we're not gonna ever get that again.
voiced by Batman himself.
The goat.
So we kind of already talked about the Arkham Origins GameStop commercial, which has the Black Mask challenge pack,
Yeah.
which is great. There's also an Arkham Knight version, which I think is hilarious too, where it's these two guys in a morgue and they're getting ready to close up, and then a news report comes out of nowhere talking about how there's this violent vigilante known as the Red Hood, and it's just them being like, "All right, we're opening back up."
Yep.
uh,
It makes you think about what these workers actually have to deal with.
yeah,
And it's like, okay, yeah, this is probably exactly what happens and how they feel. It's just like, yeah, I might as well not go home. Let's just finish up.
yeah, I love these last two GameStop commercials for Origins and Night, just for the implications in this universe by itself. Like
Yeah.
I can realistically see that happening, where the hospital is just full of criminals in these fucking weird masks with their bones snapped to pieces, and them having like glass and even just a car door stuck to their bodies.
That's the best one.
And then the morgue, like would like just having the Red Hood around is just like, yep, we got a lot more dead corpses to fucking go through for this
Yep.
job. So yeah, it's all funny and sad that we don't really get to see commercials like these nowadays.
No, and it's weird because Arkham Knight, when all that stuff was coming out, 2015 does not feel like it was as far away as it actually is. Um, and compared to City and even Origins, Knight feels like a relatively modern game. Um, and probably because it was on next gen at the time it was next gen.
Right.
Um, and I don't know, I just never think of Knight as an old game, and it is. And trailers like this were still being made. And when I watch the city ones and stuff, it feels like almost like a time capsule, and that stuff doesn't exist. But really, Night was a part of it too.
Hmm.
I don't think about that much, but it was. And but my point is that I think of that as a new game, and it's almost 10 years old now.
It'll be 10
And
years old next year.
yeah, and it feels like that was the very tail end of this kind of promotional stuff for video games.
Hmm.
It kind of ended with this, I feel, which is a shame. But
Yeah, because after that, game commercials were just like I said, they were just 30-second ads of like the launch trailer. And even
right.
Arkham Knight is guilty of this too, where
Yeah.
they had an ad which is basically the launch trailer, and they're playing their it starts with the whole, this is how it happened, this is how the Batman died, and then immediately it's just like full blast of like CW music schlock. But even then, as much as like, you know, I hate these type of commercials, this one in particular has more personality than the ones that would come later on.
Yeah, I agree with you.
So
Yeah, I definitely agree. So what's next on the trailer chopping block?
one of the weirdest ones has to be there's an Arkham Origins commercial, which is basically the teaser for like the premiere trailer. Like they just took that small teaser for that premiere trailer and just put it on TV.
The Deathstroke one you're talking about.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. It's just it's literally snippets of the fight and then it ends after 30 seconds.
yeah. Instead of it saying, oh, trailer next week, now it's just buy Arkham City on this date. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I always found that one weird, and I remember this one circulating a lot. Mainly like uh whenever you went to like Walmart or stuff and they were getting all the setups ready for when the game was coming out, and they'd
Right.
have it on all of those fucking TV screens in the back. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, that's another thing actually. Glad you mentioned that is like uh, that stuff was a thing. Like Walmart and Target and all these places would have the game stuff going on the TVs and stuff. Um and buy the video game stuff. And
Mm-mm.
that stuff doesn't happen anymore either.
No.
Like these were big deals. Like I know some of you who watch this are probably a bit younger. Alter no, but Alter remembers this stuff. But for people that don't, like this stuff for when Marvel and I were living through it, it was a huge deal, and it was always fun being a kid and like seeing this stuff because you guys will never experience this probably. Um, and this stuff was just a part of our childhood. Like I expected to see stuff like that in a Walmart or something.
Yeah, they don't have these anymore. Like, just they like a whole section of the store just dedicated to the hot new game that was coming out, whether it was Batman or that year's Call of Duty release. Like, they don't do that anymore. They have these big cartoon, like these cardboard cutouts of like the game and the whole display and stuff, and for what consoles it was coming out on. And yeah, they just don't have it. Not
Yeah.
even at GameStop, which is like
No.
the place you would wanna pick up your video games. They don't do that kinda shit anymore, so
Yeah, like I remember I don't know if you ever used to do this, but I used to beg my mom to take me to places like that, whether it was Walmart or whatever. I used to beg her to take me so I could like look at the stuff. just for that. What's coming out? Like, is there anything cool? And it was an experience back then.
Yeah,
Back then, like it was so long ago.
I wouldn't beg my parents. I just kind of veer off and like go on my own to go see this kind of deal. They'd be buying groceries over at Walmart, and I'd just be like, "Yeah, I'm gonna just go over here. I'll
Yeah.
see you in a little bit."
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it was crazy. Like I think back to that time and and it's just yeah insane for video games, even movies too. Like
Oh yeah, it
remember
was so
when
different.
do you remember when Spider-Man 3 was coming out?
Oh yes.
Just the insane amount of marketing and just, craziness that was going on in every store. Everything was plastered with fucking red and black Spidey suits and
Spider-Man 3 was legitimately everywhere.
yeah,
You couldn't get away from it, and it was
it
awesome.
it ruled the world for a time and
Yeah.
yeah,
I would give almost anything to go back to that kind of
I know.
stuff.
I see those pictures, like, somebody put up a picture on Twitter, it was like a Toys R Us display of Spider-Man 3, and they had that little time code in the corner, and I'm like, "Man, I remember that." Like, I was there for that. I would love to, like, travel back just to 2007 and see all that again.
It makes me
But
sad,
yeah,
like, seeing that stuff for sure.
it's nuts. It's absolutely nuts. I would love to I would give up anything just to go back to that era. Mm,
Me too.
so yeah, and then there's some other weird, commercials. We already mentioned the PS3 commercial with I forget the guy's name, but yeah, he makes the Robin suit and that other one with the other one where it's the guys are blending into the dude's house. Those
That
ones
was
are like
funny.
funny, and I remember
Yeah.
seeing those on TV. But yeah, but a lot of what you just saw back then, like besides all the funny stuff, was just those like 30-second launch trailer things. So it
Yeah,
was a
they were
nice
just
blend, I
things
think.
Yeah, they were just things to get people excited, and they were short enough to where people didn't have to pay attention as much, but they saw what they needed to see in that
Hmm.
short amount of time. So that's how they would get people to buy games back then. That was their social media, if you will.
Yeah, in a way,
And it
yeah,
was in a sense of like now everybody's like, "Oh, what's dropping on Twitter?" and all this stuff, and it's like back then that was not a thing. Nobody gave a shit about Twitter. Like
yeah.
not in
No,
that sense.
no, no, no. It wasn't as prevalent as it is now. But
No.
yeah, like I remember watching these commercials with my parents. Like,
Wow.
we'd be sitting there watching, like, Jeopardy or whatnot, like we'd usually do on a weekday night, and then all of a sudden, it's just, like, a trailer, like, a teaser for, like, Arkham City was on display, and my parents being like, "Hey, look, a new Batman game." Just
Awesome.
yeah, I know, I can't fucking wait to play it.
Yeah, it's
I remember watching that Arkham Origins TV spot with my dad, and he was like he didn't know what he was looking at first. He was just like, "Oh,
uh
this kid is just slowly growing up," and was like, "Oh, it's Batman."
that was always a cool one because I remember when that first came out, I wasn't sure what I was watching either.
Mhm.
But obviously I saw DC and I'm like, "Okay, this has gotta be something good." And then by the time I think he hit well, I retract some of that. When I saw the parents get shot, I was like, "This has gotta be Batman."
Mhm.
And then when I saw the ninja, I'm like, "This is definitely Batman. What the hell is this?" Then you see the origin suit and you're like, "Okay, this is pretty awesome."
Yeah,
Sorry, I'm just looking through these trailers right now.
yeah, it's fine. Like, even, I found they had an Arkham City Armored Edition commercial,
Yes,
and, like, I
which was also
remember
really cool.
yeah, and I remember seeing that on TV, again, just
Really?
first yeah. Oh,
I
yeah,
don't remember that one.
yeah, they had it everywhere. Every station was just playing commercials just for the hell of it. Some of it was just for, whatever new show was coming out that next season or whatever, or just video games. And
But isn't that
it would
crazy that
yeah.
it was, like, that big of a deal?
Yeah, this fucking port of a game that had already been out for a year was getting a release on a console that nobody gave a shit about, but they still played that commercial anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before we started recording, I was talking to Marvel about this, and watching these trailers, it makes you realize, puts into perspective at that point in time, especially with this Wii U trailer, like he just said, this was a port. It's a port of a game that came out a year previous.
Mm.
Um, like Batman legitimately ruled the world in 2011. Like there was no other superhero that existed except Batman. You thought superhero, you thought Batman.
Not
That's
even
it.
not even Spider-Man, who was like the king of like the superhero game genre for a
Right.
time. Like he was starting to fizzle out and Batman was starting to take his place,
Yep.
on top of that mountain. And
I know.
it was
And
a
I
great time.
remember because I was at that time I had played Edge of Time and Shattered Dimensions, and I was like, these are great. This is awesome. But Batman, like
Mm,
Arkham existed, and when Arkham was coming out, there was nothing that could rival it. It was just top dog, and that was it.
yeah. Yeah,
So
like
yeah,
that.
these yeah, no, sorry, go ahead.
No, it's fine. That Christmas 2011 when I got it was Arkham City and then Edge of Time. I had it for the Wii. I don't know why they didn't get the Xbox version, but whatever. But I remember just sitting there playing Edge of Time for like not even 30 minutes and I was just like, "You know what? Fuck this. I'm going to go and play Batman. Fuck
That's
this
great.
game." Yeah. It was
Good
a
on
great.
you, because that game deserves to be not played like that much.
It's not a great game.
No, it's not.
It's sad, but
Yeah.
it's a cool
But we
idea.
have Arkham City.
Yeah, we have Arkham City now. It's 12 years later.
I know.
Shit.
We're still playing it.
Yeah, crazy. Yeah,
Yeah.
I just love reminiscing about this era of Batman games. Like it's just like you said, Batman ruled the world, and like besides these games, like there was also like the Dark Knight trilogy was coming to a close, and there was all
Yeah.
this stuff about them rebooting with Zack Snyder and whatnot. But yeah, this was the universal constant that I could always come back to, and still like no matter how bad the movies got or the cartoons or whatnot, Arkham was always there to kind of like pick me up and be
So
like, hey, like we're doing good here. Mm,
yeah, it softened the blow of like the other terrible stuff that was coming out.
yeah,
You're just like, well, this is horrible, but I have this to go back to.
right,
Um,
absolutely.
and just like I said earlier, it kind of makes me sad thinking about this, because when you were just talking, and when you kind of reiterated what I said about Batman ruling the world, I was like, damn, I would give up almost anything to just go back and have fun being a Batman fan as a kid.
Right.
Like there was nothing like that feeling. Cuz when you were at that age and these games are coming out, you're like, I'm awesome. I'm a fan of the best superhero ever, and like I have these awesome games coming out. Like
Mm,
I'm at the
mm,
top of the world right now. That's how it felt being a
yeah,
Batman fan back then.
absolutely. Like, I was just it was insane like, as a kid, being a huge fan of these games, like, I imagine when other like, my friends and family would look at me, they'd be like, "Man, that fucking weirdo still loves Batman," but it was just a great time. One of my
Mhm.
friends, I'd go over to his house, like, he lived not that far away from me, and, he'd never played a Batman game, like, he
Oh
never
wow.
played an Arkham game, and I
Why
remember
were
just
you
going.
friends with this person?
I don't know, but, like, I
I'm
was
just
just
kidding.
I guess, he had, like, little brothers and stuff like they were way younger than he was, but,
Yeah.
I was just like, "Man, Batman, you never played Batman? Let's play Batman." And, I couldn't show him all the special takedowns and whatnot because it's just annihilating people's limbs, but, I'd just be like, "Hey, it's still Batman," and he's just like, "Yeah, it's pretty it's pretty cool." So,
Yeah. How do you not like it? It's
yeah.
Batman, bro.
I know, right? It's nuts to me, but
Yeah.
I
Do you
guess that
think
I guess that shows how obsessive I was, and now
I
then
was
and now.
no, I was the same way, and I'm still the same way. I mean, I look, guys, we legitimately have a entire YouTube channel dedicated to these games. and Batman. So that should show you how obsessed we are with this character and this medium,
Yeah,
just for perspective.
yeah, absolutely.
But
Just,
is there any trailers you want to point out? Any more that you want to go over?
I think we pretty much covered most of the ones that I remember.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, there's a lot of fucking commercials out there, and
yeah,
these are
there
the
is.
ones that have just always kind of stuck in my head whenever, like when we were talking about like the actual game trailers last time. Like I just, it's like not only were those great, but also just the commercials too were in the back of my head,
Yeah,
and yeah, we can't say it enough, but that really was a testament to how great these games were and how much
yeah,
effort they put into their marketing.
yeah.
So
It's a shame all the snobs on the internet nowadays who say these games are terrible or whatever, and it's like you didn't live through the greatness that was these games actually coming out. Like you have
right,
no
yeah,
idea. You have
yeah,
no idea how serious this stuff was.
yeah, absolutely.
So, children, eat your Wheaties and read your books and watch your trailers. That's the moral of this story. Watch your friggin' trailers
Yeah,
and
just
watch
do it.
these trailers.
Yeah, and watch everything.
I should legitimately make a playlist on this channel just called Eat Your Wheaties, Watch Your Arkham, and then put all link all these trailers.
Yeah,
But yeah, I think that's it.
I think yeah,
For this one.
I think we got it. Yeah.
Yeah. Um so before we wrap up, is there anything you want to say about your channel? I think there's a lot going on over there right now that you should let
Yeah.
people know about.
Yeah, well, I just released my 250 subscriber review. It's out
At
now. Af
316 subscribers.
Yeah, we have over 300 subs now, which is great. I just put out that new video the other day, which I don't know when this video will come out. It'll probably be last week, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, Also, I have another video coming out on June 30th, and I'm working on my next review right now, which I'm hoping will be out by July 4th. And
God, it's already July already
if you
almost.
watched my Brave and the Bold video, you might have an idea of what I I might be talking about. So
Uh-oh.
yeah.
So guys, stay tuned for that.
Hey, you all voted for it, so
True.
I can't complain. Anyway, but that's going on. That's what's going on. I'm in like full worker mode now. I'm just like
Yeah.
I gotta
He's like night and day working on stuff.
I just the last one I worked on, the last review, like right after the Green Lantern shit, it took me a day to just get that whole like the whole thing done. I wrote an entire script, recorded it overnight, and then I just edited it for like a full day and I got it done. So
and we had literally recorded some stuff right before that happened.
yeah.
And he was like, I honestly think I could do this in one sitting if I just keep doing it. I'm like, oh, really?
You're
That's
crazy.
that's crazy. Like I was curious if he was gonna do it, and then the next day he messages us and he's like, I did it.
It's
It's
done.
done. It's finished. I'm like, holy shit. There's no way. But yeah, so
They
he is
say
in full
I'm
worker mode.
crazy.
And guys, if you haven't seen the video that we referenced that clip in, you should go check it out.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
What about
go
you?
subscribe to more. Nothing, just intensive treatment, baby. Intensive treatment, baby.
Tens of dreaming, baby.
I'm happy here. I don't mind. So, but guys, go subscribe to Marvel. Let's get him to 350 subs. How about that? Um, yeah, let's do it. Until the next time, though, guys, stay nerdy, stay locked up, and keep enjoying the content. Thank you all so much for sticking around and supporting this channel. We'll see you guys in the next one.
Mhm.
Peace out.
Peace out.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.